To understand the Vikings, you must grasp their relentless pursuit of legacy. It wasn't just about gold or land, it was about earning a name that would echo through the ages. Reputation, or was their soul's currency, earned by courage, loyalty, and facing death with a grin. For a Viking, a quiet life was a wasted one. True glory was dying with a weapon in hand, your saga retold for generations. Every voyage, every battle was a chapter in their personal legend. To be forgotten was the greatest fear, a fate worse than death. That's why they carved runes from the Black Sea to North America. We were here, remember us. The harsh Scandinavian landscape bred resilience and shaped their gods. Odin, the wise and warlike Allfather, and Thor, the thunderous protector. Their deities mirrored their own values, strength, cunning, and the will to endure. The Viking was a farmer, trader, poet, and warrior, often all in one day. Fiercely independent, yet bound by loyalty and honor, betrayal was an unforgivable stain. They were not mindless barbarians, but complex people navigating a brutal world with sharp steel and sharper ambition. Their story is a timeless human saga, the struggle for meaning, honor, and immortality. In the end, the Vikings sought not just to survive, but to be remembered. Their legacy is written in steel, stone, and song. The making of a Viking warrior began in childhood, forged by hardship and expectation. Boys learned to hunt, farm, and fight. Tools of survival and war were one and the same. Games were training, wrestling, stone throwing, mock battles. Around the hearth, sagas of heroes and gods taught that courage was the highest virtue. To be called a coward was a fate worse than death. The promise of Valhalla, Odin's hall for the brave slain in battle, transformed death into glory. Valkyries would carry the worthy to endless feasts and eternal combat. This belief gave Vikings a fearless edge, making them formidable foes. By their teens, boys were strong, skilled, and ready to meet fate with a weapon in hand. For a true Viking, the path to glory was the path to Valhalla. The Viking arsenal was as practical as it was deadly. The spear, not the axe, was the most common weapon, cheap, versatile, and deadly from behind a shield wall. Warriors hurled spears to break enemy lines, then closed in for brutal combat. The axe, especially the bearded and Dane axes, was both tool and terror, capable of building a home or cleaving a helmet. Swords were rare, expensive, and status symbols, pattern-welded, named, and passed down as family heirlooms. Shields were round, wooden, and painted with bold designs, serving as both defense and identity. Armor ranged from leather tunics to costly mail shirts, with conical helmets protecting the head. Every piece of gear reflected a blend of utility, artistry, and personal pride. The Viking warrior was defined by his weapons, each one a symbol of his place in the world. In battle, these tools became extensions of the man, shaping both his fate and his legend. The clang of steel and the flash of blades were the music of their age. To own a sword was to be someone. To wield an axe or spear was to be feared. Their weapons were more than tools, they were the keys to immortality. In the Viking world, steel wrote the stories that stone would remember. Viking strength lay not in lone heroes but in unity, the shield wall. Shoulder-to-shoulder warriors locked shields, forming a living barrier of wood and iron. Discipline and trust were vital. If one fell, another stepped forward. The shield wall advanced like a grinding machine, its thunder and war cries terrifying foes. Sometimes they formed a wedge to punch through enemy lines. Success depended on courage and cohesion. The first side to break usually lost. This formation mirrored Viking society, individuals strong but unstoppable together. In battle, your life depended on the man beside you, a bond forged in blood and loyalty. The shield wall was more than a tactic. It was a promise to stand together, no matter the cost. Here, brotherhood was born, and legends were made. Beyond the shield wall, berserkers embodied raw, untamed fury. Clad in bear or wolf pelts, they entered battle in trance-like rages, howling and biting shields. Their wildness, whether ritual or madness, struck terror into enemies and inspired awe among allies. Wolf warriors, the Ulfhednar, fought as packs, channeling the spirit of the beast. These cult-like fighters blurred the line between man and animal, legend and reality. Their ferocity became myth, symbolizing the wild heart of the Viking warrior. Even today, the legend of the Berserker endures, a shiver from the age of steel and saga. The Viking Age birthed not just raiders but ambitious kings. Chieftains used wealth from raids to unite lands and forge kingdoms, leading from the front in battle. Power was seized, not inherited, won by force, strategy, and loyalty. Kings built loyal warbands, rewarded followers, and used fleets to project power across Scandinavia. Figures like Olaf Tryggvason used both sword and Christianity to centralize rule. The longship was their weapon and symbol, enabling swift conquest and control. These kings minted coins, built towns, and laid the foundations for modern Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Their ambition reached beyond Scandinavia, creating dynasties that shaped Europe. Among Viking kings, Harald Fairhair stands as Norway's true founder. Before him, Norway was a patchwork of rival chieftains. Spurred by a vow to win Gyda's hand, Harald swore not to cut his hair until he ruled all Norway. Years of relentless conquest earned him the nickname Tanglehair. His decisive victory at Hafrsfjord crushed his rivals and unified the land. Harald's new monarchy replaced petty kings with loyal jarls, centralizing power. Many opponents chose exile, sparking the Viking colonization of Iceland. Harald's ambition created a nation and inspired new worlds beyond. His legacy is the very idea of Norway itself. In saga and history, Harald Fairhair remains the king who made a country. A century after Harald, Cnut the Great forged a North Sea empire. Son of Sweyn Forkbeard, Cnut conquered England, then ruled Denmark, Norway, and parts of Sweden. He won England by the sword, then ruled as a wise, inclusive king, embracing English law and the church. Cnut paid off his army, kept elite housecarls, and brought peace and prosperity. From England he expanded his realm, uniting Scandinavia's power with English wealth. The story of Cnut and the tide showed humility before God, not arrogance. His reign marked the peak of Viking political power, a brief empire spanning the sea. Cnut's legacy, a Viking on the throne of Europe. Viking society wasn't just ruled by kings, it was shaped by the Thing, their assembly. Free men gathered to make laws, settle disputes, and hold leaders accountable. The Althing in Iceland, founded in 930, is the world's oldest parliament. Law was a collective agreement, recited by a law speaker and enforced by the community. Disputes were settled publicly, with verdicts delivered by judges or the assembly. The Thing was also a social event, trading, feasting, alliances, and marriages. Chieftains had to persuade, not just command, their power depended on support. Kings who ignored the Thing risked losing legitimacy. Even as monarchs centralized power, the spirit of the Thing endured, a legacy of law, consensus, and the right to be heard. The Viking Age was as much about voice as it was about the sword.